Hello YouTube, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Today we're going to talk to you guys once again about why Android sucks. Now before I get a bunch of people hating on this video, I just want to make it very clear that I am indeed an Android fan. So anything I have to say about Android that's negative is just to make sure that I'm being not biased and I have an opinion on the other way. Then again, this video is going to be really hard to make because a lot of the issues with Android have been fixed since my last making of this video. The reason, again, I'm making this video is because too many people didn't like the video because they thought I was just dissing Android. They actually often comment thinking that I'm hating on Android. But to start off, the reasons why Android sucks, the first reason that it sucks is pretty much the biggest reason, the only one that's really a big contender right now, and it's also the biggest reason why Android rocks, and that is called fragmentation. Fragmentation is the idea that your software will not work because there's so many different models for Android that certain software is not going to run in their software stack, whether it's for HTC or it's for Samsung or it's for something less known about like Moto or Acer. Acer's a little bit more known about, but it wasn't at first. I digress. So fragmentation on the one hand causes the fear that people are not going to be able to run programs, or in some cases it doesn't run some programs because there's so many different vendors out there trying to run the same code. And on the other hand, it's a really good thing for Android because if there was no fragmentation, that would mean that we all have the same models pretty much. I mean, maybe that's a bad way to put it. Let me put it this way. The good thing about the reason fragmentation is there is because there's a really good thing about Android, and that's that there's so many models to choose from. With iPhone, you have one model. With Android, you have a dozen. You have ones with better cameras, some with better processors, some with more cores, some with more speed to each core. Different things. Some have more RAM. It all depends on what you want. Maybe you want a big SD card. Maybe you want wireless charging. Maybe it doesn't matter. This kind of different stuff that's on the market now is causing fragmentation, and that's the idea that these apps, like I said, will not run. But it's good in the same point because I hate the idea that we all have to use the same exact device. It kind of feels like, a world where Hitler had succeeded. And so that's not really a world I want to ever live in. On the other hand, some people view that is a bad thing that there's so many different versions of Android versions. And a lot of people may not care. But those people aren't really technicians to me, because you might think you're a technician because you can fix computers and you're in it, but your heart's really not a technician if you're not into fixing computers. You're going to get out of it. It's just something you found. It's really not something you like or understand if you're an Apple fan. But I'm going to make it really clear here that this video is to talk about the negative points of Android. It's not to say that one's better than the other. That's not the point. The point is because there are negative and positive sides on every single piece of technology you're ever going to buy. So to me, it's completely illogical and kind of lame to ever think that, saying the negatives about one operating system means you don't like it. The thing that I also don't like about Android is the fact that a lot of the hardware vendors early on used substandard hardware and the updates didn't come right away. So for a lot of us, like me, we had to go and mod our phones. We couldn't wait for the OTA upgrades, especially with the latest HTC Sense phone. Not the One, but the One S and the One X. Those phones both got really late updates, and there's a slew of other phones I'm not talking about. So that is another reason I don't like Android, is because of the fact that the software support is kind of poor. A lot of people have said to me in my previous video, go suck it up, baby. That's not the point. The point is not, of course I can go mod a phone. That's all I've ever done with any phone I've ever had. The point is that you shouldn't have to do that to get your phone to work the way you want it to. And at the same time, I guess every kind of device is like that, because even if I bought a Windows 7 laptop, a laptop still runs Windows 7. They're still selling ones with Windows 7, by the way. I would format it anyway, because all that extra stuff that HP or Asus or whoever the OEM has put onto that laptop is going to slow it down, and it's just crap I don't need. I have my own. I know what I like for every kind of software that's needed. So if HP has a version of Disk Burner, I'm still going to use what Windows has. I don't use Nero, anything like that. And the same, same with like recovering or making backups. I'm still going to do it my way. I'm never ever going to start doing it HP's way or Asus's way. And then I got to call some Asus guy who's got his freaking customer service outsourced to some other guy who has no idea what he's talking about. I don't need that. I just rather do things my way. Another reason why I don't like Android, that's pretty much it, guys. There's not a lot of stuff I can say. If you really think that iOS is better than iPhone, that's great. Maybe you like it more. You know, there's lots of things that aren't better than the other that people like more. Starbucks coffee, good example. But you got to understand this though, that really it's getting to the point where Android's not going to have competitors. I'm pretty sure iPhone is going to be taking some serious plungers soon, and I think it's just starting to come to the time where people are realizing that, you know, the idea that Mac is better is totally commercial. It's a commercial idea that's been put in their head by marketing people, people who make commercials, people who make everything. And I just think it's funny because right now, with everything that Apple's doing to um, go after Android, has actually made Android more powerful, because everybody's wondering, well, what's, you know, Apple's so worried about Samsung for? Maybe I should go check out a Samsung. So, you know, they're really going downhill. And I don't expect the morale in Apple to keep that high now that Tim Cook is the only guy really there. You know, the late Steve Jobs, RIP, is gone, and I don't think they're going to miss him. Anyway, that's my views. That's why I think that Android sucks. And even though this video is kind of more pro on Android, that's just because it's better. But those are the reasons Android does suck. Thanks.